Testing, testing. Dear beloved Muslims and guests, those who are visiting us today, some for the first time, also those who are visiting us from our live stream around the nation and around the world, we greet you all with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Please turn off all your cell phones until after Jumah. Thank you. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Huwa alladhi khalaqa al-insana min teen wa ukhrijahu min adh-dhulumaati ila an-nur. Fa nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu. Nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. Na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli syai'in qadir. Wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Qala Allah fi Qur'anil Kareem, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullah haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. muslimun. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, we give all praise and thanks to Almighty God Allah, again, the God and the evolver, the cherisher and the sustainer of all the worlds, all systems of knowledge. We want to first again, this is just the first Jumah of this year, 2018. We wish to extend our best regards to all of you for a very prosperous year, this coming year. And we pray that this year, for us, for you, for me, for all of us, will be better than the one that has left us. We again always want to be very grateful and acknowledge and give the complete and perfect praise, we say, to Allah. So we say, Alhamdulillah, the complete and perfect praise due to Allah. We say He is the guardian, the evolver, the cherisher, and the sustainer of all systems of knowledge. Rabbil Alameen. We know in Alameen you have ilm to tell us that all things, everything has a knowledge anatomy. So we say He is the Lord, cherisher, sustainer, provider of all systems of knowledge. So we seek aid from Him. We seek help from Him alone. We beg Him for forgiveness. We turn to Him for aid. We put our complete trust in Him. We say, Natawakkalu alayhi. We ask all goodness from Him. He's good. He only accepts that which is good. And we witness that there is but one Allah. And we love to say Allah. This is the name we know that He uses in the Quran, the final revelation, Allah. And we know it's an Arabic word as well, and it's in the purest Arabic because, again, we know this word existed even before the Quran, this Allah. We know proof, even in the name of Muhammad the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said his name was Abdullah. So they was using that name before. He was a servant of Allah, you know. But we know this name, you know, is a very pure. It's pure. This name Allah. It's unique. It's unique. You know, it's not like G-O-D. We say in this society here. That's what the word they use for the Supreme Being here. But Allah, not like G-O-D, it cannot be manipulated. You know, it's not that kind of word. You know, it's Allah. It has no plural. G-O-D has a plural. You can add an S to it, and you make it plural. So there's no plural with Allah. You know, He's one. Wahdah. You know, we know, and it's a singular. And we know that there's no feminine. No feminine. They can take G-O-D and put a D-E-S-S and call it goddess. But there's no feminine, you know. God, He's not Allah. He's not a male. Allah is not a female. You know, He lets us know that He never participated in the process that brings about us the way we do. He was never a baby. You know, never participated. So, and He can't be joined with systems. The name Allah cannot be joined with systems. You know, like they do in the society. Systems are relatives. They got the Godfather. They have the godmother, these kinds of things, you know. They say Father God, Mother God. So this name Allah is just so pure, you know. No handmade God can come from Allah. You know, it's just uncomparable to anything. You can't use the term a fake Allah, and there's no such thing. But you can say a fake God. We can use that kind of language, you know. Any of those types of things. Allah is just such a supreme, is again such a unique word, and it has such a rich meaning that you cannot conjure up any mental picture when you hear that. You know, you can't conjure up anything to manipulate Allah when you hear that, you know, because it's in a class, again, all by itself. It exists, again, in a class by itself, just like Allah Ta'ala is in a class all by Himself. And we know that He lets us know that everything else, only Him exists in a class by Himself, but everything else, it is in existence because of that one Allah, you know. And we're reminded of that, you know. His existence, it has no beginning. His existence has no ending, you know, and there's nothing in Him, nothing in Allah, you know. There's things in us, nothing in Allah, you know. But we know His presence. And for anything to exist, His presence is in everything, you know. But though His presence is in everything, you know, He cannot be contained. You know, everything else can be contained, but He cannot be contained. Nothing resembles Him. He said nothing resembles Him, and He doesn't resemble anything, you know. This is all. There's no image for Him, no image for Allah. You know, they often say in other faith that we are born in the image of God. We don't know that we did misunderstand it, but there's no image. We don't look nothing. We don't have. He doesn't have an image like we have an image. He doesn't have a form like we have a form. You know, this is Allah. You know, it says in the Quran. He says, "Laysa mithlihu shay'un." This is what he says in the Quran. There's nothing at all. Mentally who? And mentally who is talking about their likeness. There's no likeness like him. And he is without change. He was, he is, and he will always be that. He can't be changed. And nothing can even begin to approach him to change. But and Allah tells in the Quran, not only him, but also his ways. His ways, he doesn't change, and his ways doesn't change. You can say, وَلَا تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ. He said, you will never find. This is in the Quran. Now you hear the word sunnah in there. This is really, sunnah is referred to Allah Ta'ala. We don't find it in the Quran reference to our Prophet. Again, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's to send something to the students as well. But Allah used this term sunnah. He said, you will not find any change in his sunnah. No change in his sunnah. No change in his way. And that's all throughout the Quran. So he doesn't change, and his ways does not change. And we know that this is a society, particularly, again, we mentioned this is part 2 of last week's talk, where we were talking about the paradox of change and living in the tense, past tense, future tense, present tense, etc. So one of the symbols that they use in this society, this is named, and because America is full of this, and other societies too. They're full of pagan ideas, So Janus, January comes from Janus, and Janus, this is going back to Roman and mythology, where he's a God. He's a God again. And but he's a God, meaning that he represents beginnings and endings. So he's two-faced, And they had a mutual fund called the Janus Fund, and of course one of their symbols was an image of a two-faced, looking both ways. So this is where this comes from, this particular thing. So this face is one looking to the future. It's future tense, and one looking into past tense. Back and looking forward. And again, that's what begins to happen in a society, and in many societies. Obviously, when the years change, it's something that happens naturally. But obviously, that's one of the signals triggered in this society to symbolize change and transitions, and begin to look at progress in terms of what we had in the past tense, and then also preparing for the future tense. A time to change and look at the vision for the future. How did we achieve the certain vision in the past, and where are we going to look at, and what kind of conditions do we need to create to achieve certain things in the present, etc. So Allah says again, while he created change, but he himself, he does not change, and he's not affected by change for us, his human creature, and everything in this society. We see the society changes, the environment changes, everything. Change is constant, and it's amazing how its change is constant, but it doesn't affect Allah. In fact, if it weren't for him, wouldn't be no change, wouldn't be no time or anything if he hadn't created it. But that's for us. It's for us. It's not for him. It's for us. And that's processes for change. And lets us know that it's inevitable. Things are going to change. We're going to change. We don't stay. We go through different processes and different stages. We go through certain types of cells. We come to those cells. We go on to the embryo stages and other stages, and we become babies, and we leave that stage. We become full. We keep moving on. We change. So that tells us we need to find out what are the consistencies in the way of Allah that never changes, and his promise never changes. He's consistent in terms of what he promises those who he has created, his human creature. And in terms of our return to him, and we're reminded of that anytime one of us reaches a certain cycle and they have to return, that we're reminded that's where we come. And that's the goal. Again, to always stay focused on the future tense. What's coming. Because again, we know that the past, we mentioned last week, we've given the hadith, actually the Quranic reports, where Allah was talking about the Battle of Uhud, and certain believers stayed up talking about if. And the other ones just accepted what happened and began to learn, and Allah let them know it's just for you to learn from it. And we are not to say, if I had done such and such. The past in the grammar is called perfect tense. It's recorded perfectly. There's nothing you can do to change it. You can't go back and change anything. So even to go back and say if, it says lack of faith. Allah say everything. He permits things. You got to say, what can I learn from that? This is what we're supposed to do. Now, we're only supposed to say if for future. You see, we're supposed to be planning, think about, we say if, I'm going to do such and such. And we have to intend, can't just say, you know, inshallah, if somebody asks you something and you don't intend to do it and you want to blame Allah, put it on Allah, when that's not no intention of yours to even do that. You know, if you plan and intend to do something, then Allah also don't do that unless you say inshallah. You know, so that's future, but not past. You know, we learn, we look at it and we learn from the past. And if we learn from the past, and if we're always preparing for the future, the destiny, then those two things will take care of the present, which is fleeting. It goes so fast. You know, that's why Allah says, and the future, what's to come, is more lasting than the present. And that's consistent with our reality, because we know our present goes by so fast. But what's coming is more lasting. What's ahead of us is more lasting. So we have to prepare for that and not get focused on right now. You see? Benefit from where we come, the mistakes, and let's try to have a better destiny. Allah wants us to focus on the destiny, where we're going, you know. And he says that again, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Again, to let us know how he created us. You know, we're supposed to be striving, we're supposed to be struggling, you know. And so he created us that way. So he says those kind of things in the Quran. He says in the Quran also that he made us, he made the human being in the most excellent mode. And said we can't have nothing except what we strive for, you know, the sa'i. And we know that's striving. This is a consistent word here. You can't have anything unless you strive. To tell us more about the nature that he's given us, you know. Then he said he's made us da'if. He made us, we're weak in flesh. But he said, but surely those who persevere, patiently persevere, you're going to be successful. Let you know, you know. And he didn't say he is with those. He said he himself is with those who do good. Allah is with you. If you're doing good, he's with you. He's not absent from your good works. He's with you. He wants you to know that, you know. And he said he's with the righteous. He's with those who are constant in their prayers and observe the prayers, you know. And on and on. He tells us these things to let us know that these are things that we have to put effort into. It takes struggle, you know. And then we have to look at Allah again. He's trying to let us know that we have to respect our human nature. He's telling us about our nature and telling us to respect the nature, understand our nature, and in that also understand our human capacity, understand our human potential, understand our human weaknesses. And that's a big one, because he says, fight the schemes of Satan, because the schemes of Satan are weak. Why are the schemes of Satan weak? Because this area here, Satan only appeals to your weaknesses. He can only get you in your weaknesses. So that's why Allah say fight. He says schemes are weak, because they are based on weakness. So Allah wants us to know that about ourselves, you know, and the ability he's given us to overcome these things. And it says that, you know, a statement from the Prophet, peace upon him, the best victory is the victory over yourself. That's the best victory. That's the greatest victory, you know. The best conquest is to manage your own appetites, your desires, your passions, etc. And, you know, we know this is what Adam was confronted with, the first of us. And what everything he was confronted with, we're going to be confronted with too. But we're not going to be confronted with the big shaitan, because that was his fight. But we have our own. We have our own. The same thing happens, you know. And of course the Quran uses the term Hawa, but not necessarily referring to Eve. We know they've coined the name. Eve name is not mentioned in the Quran, you know. And that's to protect her. That's to protect her. Allah doesn't mention her name. But you know the Muslim world says that, but Hawa is mentioned. And Allah said most of the people are misled by their ahwa'ihim, which is plural of Hawa, your desires. And it's just really a play to say that's what caused man to go off track. Not that a woman caused him to do wrong, you know. So Allah again protects that, because even the term Eve is associated with evil. And they try to say that that's what caused man's downfall. So again, this is how again the Quran gives us these things to help us see better and see straight, and again to understand what we're really dealing with, you know. So these things Allah wants us to know about ourselves. And he requires of us, of the human being and the things he's given us, that we must discipline ourselves. You know, the first thing after you take your shahada is now you have to discipline yourself. Because prayer, that's an act, and it requires discipline. You know, it's to help you get your life on track. And it says it's the first act that all of us be asked about on the day of account. is that prayer, those prayers, you know. Because that's again Allah's given us some structure to help our life. And you know, in the history of this community right here, this 80-year community here, with its founder, Elijah, he said that you cannot be a champion without an opponent. This is something that he said, and we know that again, coming from where he was coming from, he was seeing a lot of things, having been one that was very severely oppressed and seeing the people oppressed, and embedding, didn't know Islam the way we know Islam today, but he embedded things, and because we got his book now, just got a book in, Message to the Black Man. We have some downstairs. If you look at chapter 5, which we do our 5 day of prayer, he had a chapter that deals with Islam, and it's accurate. He didn't able to teach it. Make sure it was there. It was there. This is one of the most popular books that he put out, and he made sure that there was a chapter that was dealing with Islam completely. You know, to set things up for us to begin to get ready to transition. You know, and Allah lets us know that nothing challenges the human being. Nothing challenges. I mean, we conquer all kinds of things. You know, the highest mountain people climb. You know, they do all kinds of things. Swimming, great lakes, etc. Man, nothing challenges the human being more than his own creation. This is where the biggest challenges come from. The biggest challenges come from our own self. So we're to see Allah lets us know in the picture gives us in the Quran that, you know, human beings have not failed and have been overcome by the world because of the challenge to him from the world. No, it's from the challenge from ourselves. Those are the things that hold us back. Our own self. You know, because we are the crown. They call us the crown. We're the Khalifa. Everything was here before was waiting for us to come, to derive its benefits. You know, nothing else can bring out the benefits but us. So they needed us to bring out its benefits, its gifts, etc. You know, so Allah lets us know that if there's going to be a challenge, that's not a challenge for us. No, we are challenged for ourselves to go into the earth and bring out these things. And we've done so much over time. Man have gone into the earth. We connected because our salat teaches us to connect with the earth. We have to go down, put our intellect into the ground, and bring out all these jewels to help advance our life. But again, it requires effort. That's one of the reasons our prayer, not like many prayers, our prayer is a physical prayer. It had to take some effort. You got to put effort into it. It's for the whole life, physical, mental, spiritual, this whole exercise that we're going through. When we started to talk, we end up down, connecting with the environment, with that came out of us, and submitting our will to the one who created all of it and us too. And asking him to guide us because he knows what's best for us, to help to shape our mind. You know, we can think we are determined to do something, but how determined we are can't be determined until opposition comes. Understand that. You know, opposition can present itself in two ways. Internal, and this is why Allah lets us know. He says, "In Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." That he change a condition unless you change what's in yourself. So this is internal. And then it says, "Dhalika bi anna Allah la yakun mughayyiran ni'matan an'amaha 'ala al-qawm hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Again, the same thing. Ma bi anfusihim. Both goes in with that. One is talking about internal. Both of them talking about internal. One is saying there's a condition that has changed, is not favorable. One is saying there's a favorable condition that you changed it. And he said that in any case, to get back into favor, it's going to be dealing with internal opposition. That's the main thing that causes us to get off track. Not the external. There are external opposition, you know. So Allah is telling us that things come from within. And He's saying that the biggest one is coming from within. There are going to be some things from the out. You see, outside of us that affect our circumstances. You know, we can look just in the history of Bilal, Ibn Rabah, radiallahu anhu. We know that his challenge was his environment. Initially, the physical, he was a slave. They tortured him. He couldn't do nothing about that. But internally, he could. And he told him, you can do what you want to do with the external, with this body. But you don't have the internal. My soul is Allah. And Allah freed in time. And Allah freed him for it, you know. So this is the bigger, more important one, the internal struggle and opposition that we all have to do, you know. You know, we looking at this time of change, you know, you can tell yourself, and people are telling themselves right now, I'm going to start doing the fast. In fact, I'm going to start with a 7-day fast. And I'm going to get my body back, and I'm going to get my health right. And some say, I'm going to start getting up 4:45 in the morning. So I can eat something. I'm going to get up 4:45 and start working out. And I'm going to do that every morning. And this is the thing you say, you know. And also I'm going to get up. I ain't going to go back to sleep. But see, this is what you put. But the war inside of yourself, this war inside of yourself is on, and it starts as soon as that alarm clock goes off that you haven't been doing before. When that alarm clock goes off at 4:45 a.m. In the morning, then your body, your mind immediately, this self, it starts creating excuses automatically, internally. And that's what causes us to not make progress in our life. And Allah gives us all the help that we need, really, if we just submit. If we just submit, we get all that we need to go forth, you know. So these things begin to come to your mind, you know. So we do this so much. We do this so much. We set these parameters, we put them out there, and then we make excuses that it becomes normal. And really, they become unrecognizable to us because now it's a habit. It's a habit that we've set, you know, and we don't make the progress, and time goes on, and we're looking back. Because again, that's something we haven't taken care of. Like I said, we look and learn and think about the future, then we'll take care of the present. But here now we continue to hurt ourselves, and our past is things we're sending forth. You see? And Allah talks about what you send forth. So we got to be careful what we are sending forth as we try to think about what Allah Ta'ala has given us, you know. So it's the internal opposition that's the real challenge. Ma bi anfusihim. What's inside? What's in the soul? Allah say He won't change, and that say, He say, let you know that I'm gonna help you, but you got to start inside. That means everything else is taken care of by Him. If you just begin to make that change, He will help us to make the change. And there's a lot of things we need to change. And many of them are looking at those things. They're looking at all kinds of things, you know, they need to change. But Allah said He's there to help you. You're never alone because we have Allah with us, you know. And He's letting us know that we have the power. He's telling us in those ayahs in the Quran that He has created us and has given us the power to make the opposing of self, to defeat that opposition that's in ourselves. He's given us the power to do that, you know. He's saying that your will, with my will is strong enough. Everything Allah created, in it, there's a will. And there's a will for it to be exactly what Allah created it to be, you know. So we know one of the basic definitions of a Muslim is one who submits his will to the will of Allah, you know. So we want to make those things become consistent. And Allah, so that tells us right there that if we do that, that we, whatever it is that we're having to be confronted with at that particular time. And you know, the fifth pillar, Hajj, fifth pillar, it's the last one. It's the last one for a reason. But we know one of the meanings of Hajj is meeting the opposition. That's one of the meanings of it. Meeting the opposition, putting your force against the opposition that's in your way. This is one of the things. So this is a big message for us. You know, things that against the force that's against you. And the first force again that's against you is your own tendency, my dear brother, my dear sisters. Your own tendency to relax before Allah, His orders, His commands. You know, Allah said to Satan, Shaitan, Ma mana'aka, what's preventing you? Doing something that I command you. You know, He said, what's preventing you? And we think that somebody that's outside of us, has nothing to do with us, that's some other creature Allah is talking to. No, Satan get his start in all of us. You know, he starts off, he's a jinn, and we know the Quran makes it very clear that he was a jinn. You know, it's a process for him to become Satan. And the prophet said he had a jinn. They asked him, he said, even you? He said, yes. He said, but I've made mine. I made mine conform. He submitted, became Muslim. Didn't come to that. So that tells the same thing. That's the same thing that's operating in us as well. You know, this spirit in us, that when something is preventing us from doing what Allah commanded, what's preventing you? Then that's what you have to ask yourself. And Allah, this again is the Quran is for us. to benefit from this guidance. He's saying to him, what's preventing you from doing what I command you? So that's the first thing right there. Overcoming those things that prevent us, these tendencies in us, you know. And then all of us, we have these tendencies. I got a call from one of the brothers who was, again, that's trying to change, you know. He hadn't been married long, and he and his wife, they used to pray together, but they're not praying together. They hadn't been praying together lately, so they're trying to get back to this prayer principle. And it says, he said, I just want to get some guidance on that. He said, what I'm doing now, he said, my wife is not praying. He said, so I'm just praying. And he said that when I say it's time to pray, she said, wait a minute. And he said, every time I wait a minute, we end up not praying. And he said, now I get ready to call the van, and she said, hold up on calling the van. You know, she said, because if you call the van, this is what she said to him. She said, if you call the van, then you obligated me. Which is what it's supposed to do, you know. So he said, well, I just told her, well, I'm gonna pray then. It's on her. And I shared with him that that's a good thought. But when you start thinking about just yourself, then that's when you begin to lose your collective life. You know, that he have to work to get her, to remind her of their collective life. Anytime any other couple, man or woman, begin to think about just themselves, because when you come together, when two come together, there's not just a single soul now, there's a collective soul that's produced. And once you stop investing in the collective soul, which that means that is good for both of you, that collective life, and it's a circle, that two circles, when they overlap, they create a third circle that wasn't there before. And it doesn't belong to the male, doesn't belong to the female. You know, it's for both of them. And if they stop investing in it, then what happens is that circle gets smaller. If they continue to invest, it gets bigger. You know, and again, we say that you heard people say we've grown apart. We've grown apart. And the idea, Allah wants you to grow together. He said He will cause you to grow if you meet certain formula. You know, so I told him to try. Go ahead and call it then. Don't call it then obligator, because you obligate yourself. But try to forge the relationship. You know, we have to be. So that's again these tendencies to let other things come in, and they become normal sometime, and then we begin to lose the life, our precious life, and it's so precious. It's a very precious life. So we thank Allah for bringing us to this opportunity, and it's a new opportunity. It's a new chance to change, you know. And again, He says that He doesn't change what is bothering the people until they change what is bothering their souls. And we know that the seat of the soul is the heart. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulih Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this, as we conclude, I want to, there's a process that's really to help bring about change from our prayer. And it's been coined triple TOP. I spoke about this in the past, and someone asked me to mention it again. And triple TOP, for those who are not familiar with triple TOP, in terms of the process, and that's why this is the first act. After we connect with Allah, we witness to Him, to this process we're put into. And this triple TOP, of course, is an acronym. It's an acronym that means transfer, transition, transform, optimization, and then success, our performance and success. And the top. This means top. That's what will take you to the top, that'll make you successful. And essentially, transfer meaning it means to move oneself from one way of thinking to another. This is the first phase of it. Just the transfer. The second one is a change in behavior, and that's the transition. And then the third one is transformation. Meaning that's the process of developing a new mind, a new thinking, you know, and a new body, behavior. Again, we could say a heart. And because optimization is an opportunity to show that there's been change. That's changed, you know. It's consistent change now. And then of course that performance success that's proven that you have changed. That's what this formula is. So we're going to just briefly speak about this in connection with the prayer and make a few comments. Then we're going to, inshallah, close it out. Now, I've seen this process. I had, most of you know, I've been in the military. I was put in charge of the largest human resource system in the world, the latter part of my career. And I saw some things, I was assigned to a site, and I saw some things that the military was using that they had gotten from Islamic history, you know. And prayer was one of those things that really hit history in terms of the discipline, the Muslims getting up early and praying, you know, and what they would do and to clean themselves. That was just something that people weren't doing in history. Other warriors weren't doing that, you know. But they studied that model. And then, of course, a lot of the things that the military does right now comes from really this model of prayer to get discipline in you. So lasting, sustained discipline, and to get you to work together, because again, our prayer is a great model of not just an individual discipline, but also group discipline, you know. And we know it's it looked at by a lot of people. It turns out they love to see the Muslims' prayer and in our uniformity that's in our prayer. So again, this community right here, when I say this community, I mean the history. I want you to reflect on the history, because we're very diverse now, but it's always important that you know what you're upon. In the history of this, they had a piece that was implemented that was military, called FOI, you know, and they patterned the FOI really off of the military structure, commands and everything. And in fact, military, those in the military taught them, you know, who had served in the World War II, etc. You know, was among those who taught. And of course, FOI, you know, it means the fruit of Islam. We have some of those right here today who were part of that and have transitioned. That's on the floor. We have some that's downstairs, and of course, there's some that still, as Minister Farrakhan, he still has that structure with the Nation of Islam that he has. I'm talking about the original now, in terms of what I'm talking about. But it obviously represented the best that nature has to offer. This is what they were looking at in this design, you know, and they were supposed to be the best in the community as well. But they had preparatory commands, they had general orders, things. If you never known about it, it would be like some of the orders would be to take charge of all property in view, temple property, etc., to walk my post in a perfect manner, and etc., you know, and always be on alert, to be watchful. And so, it was 10 of them, you know, several of them, you know, different orders and things. And they have these commands, you know, fruit, again, this preparatory command, they had this general order command. And again, when we looked at what the military had pulled from it, they saw in the Adhan, they saw the Adhan as this transfer. They say that's where the transfer starts, because whatever Muslims were doing during the day, when they hit an Adhan, then this transfer begins to start, because they now begin to move themselves from one way of thinking to another, because they may have been doing something else or thinking about something else, but now they have to transfer now. And so this is the Adhan was transferred. They say now when they're getting ready for prayer, the next command would be the Iqamah. So they say the Iqamah is the transition stage. This is why now you have to actually change your behavior physically, you know, and respond. And they say this is what this Iqamah is. And they say now the prayer. They say the prayer itself. They say the prayer itself is the first stage now of really transforming. And of course, we can look at how this happened even in the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when they eventually established the prayer, you know, in terms of how they were able to really do other things in terms of structure for the life. A lot of the establishment of the Islam and the 5 pillars came, we know, with Medina. And so they say that after the transformation, then now they say that's this action. We see action, you know, and they say this is so-called optimized performance, because they just got something from prayer. They saw them so motivated after prayer. You know, they saw their attitudes different after prayer. They may have been arguing with somebody before prayer, but after prayer, things changed. They went to that brother and embraced him right away. They was observing these things, you know, stuff that was happening again after the prayer. And of course, you know, even Allah says in Ma'un, and again, this was at one of the sites. They had this surah Ma'un, and because we know Ma'un speaks about those who pray, and this is the step 3. This is step 3 in the process, you know. And it says those who pray, but they're not successful. They're not successful with the transformation because they're thinking and they're neglecting their prayer. And that's why Allah says, He say, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. He's speaking to those who are praying. The Musallin, that's who actually making physical salat. Because there's no physical salat for the human being in the history until Muhammad the Prophet, peace upon him. We know sajda, yes, but no salat like we do the salat. None of that. So Allah speaking specifically to the Musallin, you know. He said, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ. They're neglectful. They're neglectful. They're negligent. And they're just praying just to be seen. And they say, when they get up from prayer, it's what you're doing. So Allah is saying you must be neglecting your prayer. It's not, some think it's, we know we make sajda sahu when we make a mistake. And some focus on just that when they think about ma'un, because it says sahun, you know, you're neglectful. But when you finish praying, like we say after salat a lot of times, the Prophet, peace upon him, says salatul nur. Salatul nur. He said sadaqa borhan. But we know that he could have stopped when he said sadaqa nur. That we know that's true. It was Allah, that's a name for the Quran. And again Allah says wataba an nur alladhi unzila ma'ahu, and follow the light. The Quran is called the light, the nur. It's called the nur that came down with him. So he says that, and he says the proof that is light is sadaqah borhan. That's the proof. You see. So we see people, they make the prayer, but they're ready because they get nothing out of the prayer, because when they finish they don't do no sadaqah. Your first sadaqah you should give really is to your brother and sister, right, who prayed right beside you. That's where you should start. And we got people, they'll make the prayer and they'll get up right from there and they'll leave right away. Won't give anything. They've come in to receive. Your prayer, you like this in your prayer, because you can't give Allah nothing. And nothing we do can be given to Allah. We don't enhance Allah with anything. So we like this in our prayer. Allah is for us. When soon we finish, we're supposed to revert to this right here. You know, Salatul Nur, Sadaqah borhan. We're supposed to be starting to give. And you give to the place that facilitated you being able to come together and worship. You give money. You give your time if you don't have any money to try to clean up something, try to help somebody, do something. Because the obligation on the facility is on the believers that come to attend there. You have an obligation to not just come and get a benefit for yourself, but to also make a contribution to that you just received benefit from. You know? So he's trying to teach us. And they were seeing that. They were seeing that in this Muslim prayer, how the spirit would be after they finish that particular prayer. They'll be more optimistic. If they were pessimistic before, once they made the prayer and come out of prayer, those who actually weren't neglectful and were listening in the prayer and mindful of the prayer, they came out of the prayer with more serenity, more peace, and much more optimistic. I mean, you just submitted yourself to Allah, and you just submitted in obedience. You were obeying and you submitted. You know, not that you stand before Allah, because we're always before Allah. You don't think that your prayer now you stand before Allah. We're always before Allah Ta'ala. But now we are standing in complete obedience to Allah. We're obeying, we're surrendering, and we're listening to the help that we need to keep standing. Allah gave us help to stand our life up. We want to keep our life standing. That is the help that He gives us. رَبِّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا وتكوننا من القوم الخاسرين آمين. Come to Islam. Okay, while we're lining up, we do have some important announcements immediately after. If you can remain, of course, if you can't remain, if you need to leave, you need to make it sooner and then leave, then make sure you do so quietly. If you're not able to do your sunnah and you have to leave immediately, please leave quietly in respect of those who are praying and also respect of those who are listening. You can let me know in the back when we're good. your lines are straight, shoulder to shoulder, no gaps. And again, take the posture as though this is your last prayer, because indeed for someone it may be. And again, make sure the lines are straight. You want to be straight. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Wadduha walayli idha saja. Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala. Walau akhiratu khayrun laka min ula. Walasawfa ya'tika rabbuka fatarda. Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa. Wa wajadaka dallan fahada. Wa wajadaka 'ailan fa'aghna. فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. Tabarakta ya dha jalali wal ikram. Al-Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum. We also want to congratulate our dear brother Tamir. You all see him in uniform over here, in the Navy uniform. He's on the legacy of Muslims in the military that goes all the way back before this country was even a country. So we thank him for what he's upon and the contribution that he's going to make. So congratulate him. You probably didn't recognize him. He looks a little different, but he looks good. We thank Allah for him. He's doing well too. So we're glad you're able to make the Jumah with us today. Oh, yes, all right. I didn't see him. There's one in the army uniform too. So we thank Allah for that and those contributions. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we're having a brothers or men's, we say brothers because you can bring your children, your sons with you too, unity breakfast at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it'll be a free breakfast in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then we have some comments, and maybe it'll be a 2-hour. First hour we will eat, and second hour we'll make some comments and have some discussions on a few things as we look at 2018 and the need for men to be what Allah says, Ar-Rijal Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa. The legs, the men being the legs of the community, really, and what that really means. So we'll talk a little bit about that and what we need as we're trying to make some progress in this society and for our community in this city, also across America. We have international media will be here tomorrow too from England, doing stirs on the nation's mosques as well. We also have a religious school bringing about 30 of their students here tomorrow. They want to come here and learn and observe the prayer and have conversations about Islam. Next week we're gonna have a whole school is coming with 100 plus be here to learn and be with us as well. I mentioned the military veterans, the Muslim American Veterans Association, and our Boy Scouts here. They're going to be participating in the MLK parade on January the 15th. So any veterans, please, if you can get with them, get with Stanley. He's the commander here, the post commander. To see if you can also participate. We love to have a good showing at that parade. This is the MLK parade. On this year, 2018, we're going to restart back our Ta'aleem, our public address, mainly Ta'aleem workshops. They're going to be workshops starting on January the 14th, immediately after the Dhuhr prayer. Immediately after the Dhuhr prayer. And to be with us on that, we're going to have the subject on the 14th and 28th. We're going to have a part 1 and part 2. So try to make it the 14th so you can also be prepared for the 28th, which will be part 2 of the series of these workshops we're going to be giving. Imam Naeem is the point of contact on that, and we'll be involved with him as well. So that'll be starting off this year. We're going to be having Ta'aleems again on Sundays. This is Sundays now after the prayer. Also, let's see. The leadership of the community is having their annual weekend retreat where they spend time together, bring their minds together, the different leaders, to focus on the strategy for 2018, to look at what we need to finish accomplishing, etc. And then behind that will be a big community meeting coming from behind that meeting, which we'll put that date out as well. Savior's Day is going to be in New Orleans this year. around the last Saturday in February. Anybody interested in going? If we get enough, then we can travel together. I do plan on going, inshallah, and we hope to see others as well. We are hosting a program. Get that flyer. On January 26th. Very important program called Safe Online Surfing. And we are doing this in partnership with the FBI. And it's about protecting for our youth. We really want to have designed for 2nd through 5th grade and 6th through 8th graders. A lot of them are really being trapped online, so they're going to do a series. We want adults to come too. We want parents to come as well, because it's very important you know what people are using to trap people on the online. So it's called Safe Online Surfing, and we need to know. And they're going to do a comprehensive piece on social networking, personal information, how to protect your personal information, instant messaging, how it works, cyberbullying, video games, all these different things is out there. They're going to do a very comprehensive piece. So again, that's going to be from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Friday, January 26th. And again, emphasis on 2nd to 5th grade and 6th to 8th grade. These youth in these categories have really been being captured. Many of them have become victims of human trafficking, etc., because of what's happened to them online. So this Safe Online Surfing in D.C. area is it was number 1 in the human trafficking arena. And but it's still got a lot. It's not number 1 now, but it still has a lot going on here, and you need to know the kind of things that are competing to take our children away from us, and that's one of them. So we hope to see you there. Our dear sister Shelley, who runs our Kibar nutrition site here. Okay, she's calling all D.C. Maryland high school students. Masjid Muhammad has organized a team of youth to participate in MIST 2018. So what is MIST? MIST stands for the Muslim Interscholastic Tour, and it started in 2002. It's a fun, educational, interactive program of competitions and workshops geared towards bringing high school students together from around the nation to develop leadership, communication, and other creative skills in order to develop a strong identity. So the website is dcmist.com. So if you are a teen or you know a teen, send the email to Mom Network USA, Mom, M-O-M, Network USA at gmail.com. And that goes to our sister Shelley, who is also our site manager here for our seniors program, nutrition site downstairs. Or call her if you want to take the number down, 703-594-7149. And we really appreciate this initiative right here. We hope many of you participate, so our Muslim youth can join other youth from around the nation participating in something that we should be in terms of excellence in certain areas. So I think those are the main things. The workshop for next Saturday is going to be the Foundation for Quranic Logic and Muslim Life. It's going to be a part 1 and part 2. Okay, so January the 14th. Again, after do a prayer. Yeah, again, if please make sure you get the bulletin. We have many of our members who can't make it out because they're sick or because they're shut in or for some other reasons. We have a long list, and we have an obligation really to communicate with them, to be with them. That's a part of our Sadaqah board hand. We are praying, we're here to try to visit those who can't be here, to take them the spirit and the things that we're getting, and many of them, if they take visitors, all of them can't take visitors because of their situation. They can't be overly excited, but many of them can. But check before you go, and visit our brothers and sisters. Many of them very senior, and many of them were ones who were here at the founding of this community, and put a lot into this building that we're enjoying right now. So that's show appreciation for them as well. Share, again, this is a program that we're doing. People who need can get groceries for $22 a month. Many people have the groceries sponsored. We still need people. Brother Marion's right here. He's dedicated. He goes to the warehouse to pick the groceries up early in the morning on Saturday mornings. and brings it back, but we need people to help sort it, bag it, and deliver. And it normally can be done, if you come here early, we can get it done by 8 or 9. And most of the time by 8 if we have enough people. Again, you hear from me all the time, I'm so disappointed that many of you who have a lot of strength will let our seniors, our elderly, they're here bagging up stuff, get up early morning, they're coming here struggling to get groceries that someone had donated for them to take back. We should be delivering that to them. So think about, it's only once a month. It's only once a month. Again, so January 7 a.m. That's the next share distribution. And get with Brother Mary if you want more information. But again, we hope that you will help our seniors and those who are needy. We also have a tafsir class. Imam Wafiddin Muhammad Tafsir, his commentary. A lot of it's going to move towards comparative with those like Ibn Kathir, etc. And we need to see contemporary tafsirs now on where we are. But that's Wednesdays at 6:30. Every Wednesday at 6:30. To 8, that'll be right up here. And so spread the word. Assalamu alaikum.